all new material. I just literally finished it earlier today. So I hope that you'll get a lot out of this. I really decided to do this presentation because I'm working with firms every single day, and I see that their employees can be just so much more productive. And their employees tell me, and through our business management assessment tool that we have, I get so much information back from employees talking about how things slow them down every day at work and waste a lot of time and a lot of money. And so my goal is to kind of open your eyes a little bit to all the areas and all the things that slow your employees down, and to help them to be more productive. And so today we're just going to dive right in. And as Leanne mentioned, I am saving a little extra time today at the end to answer any questions. And so make sure you take note of those, anything that you want to talk about. So first of all, I just want to say your employees are the lifeblood of your firm. They mean more than anything. They're more important than your clients and more important than your projects. Your employees are everything. You couldn't do anything that you do without them. And when your employees start at your firm, when you hire them and they come on board to come work with you, they want to do their best. Every employee joins with the intention to do their best job possible. Yet along the way, some things happen that keep them from being able to do their best job. You might call those obstacles. I like to think of them like hurdles they have to jump. So instead of just being able to run down the track, they have to jump over hurdles constantly in order to get where they're going. And it makes their job so much harder. And just this week, I want you to think about this. Just this week, what has gotten in your way? Jot down a few things in your notes right now. What has gotten in your way from doing the best job possible that you could do, and how frustrated were you? And then I want you to think about your employees. What is it that's getting in their way? What are the hurdles and the obstacles that are standing in their way? So this is a quote I wrote. This is my personal belief. You may agree or disagree. If you disagree, please write a note down in the chat box. I'd love to hear what you have to say. But I really believe that half or maybe more of an employee's productivity is driven by what they do every day, their behaviors, which are very much our habits. A lot of employees' behaviors that they have are things that they just get used to doing every day. They don't really think about it very much. And it's also their mindset, their attitude, their belief system about what's important. And a lot of that is driven by your culture in your firm. It's driven by what you talk about with your employees. What do you emphasize? What do you encourage? What are they being held accountable for? Those are the things that they hold in regard as being important. And the last 4 years or so, I have literally worked with hundreds of architects, engineers, environmental scientists, geotechs, construction management experts, and professionals to help them find the lost dollars. They were people who had anywhere from, a couple years experience even, all the way up to people who had 30 or more experience and CEOs of large firms. I have seen patterns that exist in almost every single firm. And with the work that we're doing now with Find the Lost Dollars, we've been able to massively transform our clients' organizations by focusing on what is holding them back and then fixing those things. And so today, I really want to dive in and show you the magic behind what it takes to transform your company. And we really have kind of broken it all down for you into a simple 3-step formula, but we want to show you behind the scenes what's going on, and then help you figure out the next steps that you can take to ensure that your employees are going to be as productive as possible. So first of all, I want to say that many of your employees work in silos, right? So you have the group of people here and here and here. They're not operating as one company, which is what you want. You want them to operate as if they're one company, but they don't. And they're out of alignment. They're out of alignment from your company's goals, from your leadership team, and really they're out of alignment from what's best for your firm, what's best for your clients, what's best for even for themselves in many cases. Especially if they're employee owners, they really should be working hard towards making sure they're doing what's best for the company, but very often working in silos. There's a lot of reasons these silos exist. They could be just separate offices, separate teams of people. They could be acquisitions that you've done that have never fully integrated into your company. And there's many, many reasons that silos exist. And silos tend to keep people from really operating as a team in one capacity. And I'll talk to you a little bit later about some things that we've done to help clients reduce those silos and bring people together to operate as one company again. So I want to give you some examples. These aren't real people, but these are real examples of real clients that we have that you're going to recognize, I believe, some of them. I want you to let me know if you recognize some of these people, not their faces, but the examples that I'm going to give you. So, okay, here is Peter. Peter has a proposal due in 2 days. He can't find project descriptions that he needs to put in his proposal. All the resumes he's found on the server have not been updated. He needs help from somebody, but everyone is so busy, they're not available to help him. And he's already overloaded himself with project work. He doesn't have time to go hunting through the systems and the servers and the files and folders looking for the information he needs to put the proposal together. So what ends up happening? He wastes time. Proposals aren't as good as they could be. In some cases, Peter may actually miss the deadline to get the proposal done on time. Do you have a Peter in your office? If you do, then you're going to understand Peter needs help to work smarter to get his proposals done. So this is Marcus. Now what you're going to see here is that Marcus has his own system. It's called the sticky note system. Yeah, because Marcus doesn't really have a place to keep track of all the things that need to get done, the clients he needs to call back, all the deadlines, the opportunities that he's working on. He doesn't have a CRM system, and he doesn't have any processes to follow that help him to be productive in managing his time, his responsibilities, and his deadlines. So Marcus uses sticky notes. Do any of you have any sticky notes at your desk? Then you might have some similar issues as Marcus, and I'm sure you can relate to the pain that Marcus feels. Marcus doesn't know what a CRM or a client relationship management system is. He's never heard of it, but he does know that this isn't working. These sticky notes are driving him crazy. And if somebody started a fan in his office, probably everything would be disrupted and Marcus would not be able to get any work done. So next one, this is Gina. Gina is working on an estimate for a new project proposal that she's working on. She's putting together a scope and estimate. You know, Gina's frustrated because she feels like every time she does an estimate, she has to reinvent the wheel. She has to start over. She's not really sure what rates to use. So she pulls up a bunch of old spreadsheets. She's hunting through them, trying to find an old estimate that she could use to do the new estimate. Problem is, none of those old spreadsheets and estimates that she's looking at are really the right ones. Some of them are too old. You know, the rates are 3 years old, and so she doesn't want to use those. The problem is the client really wants the estimate fast. They've asked her to turn it around by tomorrow. What is she going to do? How's she going to get this done quickly? Gina is extremely frustrated working on this estimate. And then we have Josh. Josh had a client call today, and the client wants to change the design on the HVAC systems he's been working on. Now, Josh has always been learned in the company. It's your company's culture that he wants high quality. He wants to do a great job. So he knows that this is going to take a lot of time. It's going to take him a lot of time to redesign and make this change for the client. He also knows that it's out of budget, that this is going to blow the budget, and that the client really probably doesn't have the money to afford to make these changes. But guess what? Josh is afraid to tell the client. He doesn't want to make him mad. And so he's always been taught and believes that his job is to keep the client happy at all costs. So Josh doesn't ask for a change order. He figures, well, there's a little money left in the project right now. I'll just wait till closer to the end of the project, and then we'll go back and ask the client for money. How often does that really work out for him? And then we have Linda. Linda is our accounting manager. Now, Linda's so frustrated right now. The timesheet practices in the company are driving her crazy. Everybody submits them late. They have tons of errors. They're charging the wrong phases and tasks or projects. Nobody's putting enough detail in their comments, so we don't know where to move those time charges. The project managers have not been approving them on time, and they're really not doing a very good job of approving the timesheets. So what happens is at the end of the month, there's hundreds of changes, moving time around from project to project, and it holds up billing. And it's gotten to the point where Linda hates the beginning of the month. It's just insane for Linda. She just doesn't even want to come to work at the beginning of the month. And also, Linda's losing sleep at night because the company's cash flow is not very good. Because of all these problems with the timesheets and the billing, they're not getting paid fast enough, and the cash flow is really a problem. And then we have Jeremy. Jeremy has spent 2 hours looking for some information about a project, but he's not sure whether the data in the system is correct. The reason is the data is often 2 weeks late. And so what happens is by the time he gets his hands on the information and it's 2 weeks late, it's too late. The project budget's already been blown. Jeremy is very frustrated that his company does not have better tools that he can use to stay on top of his project budgets. And he knows the company probably has the tools, but he doesn't know where they are, how to use them, or how to get them to work for him and his projects. Does any of this sound familiar to you? What we've been talking about are bottlenecks. And when I'm working with our clients every day in our Find the Lost Dollars program, I've actually documented in my notes hundreds of these examples. The ones I've given you today, the 6 or 7 that I just went over, those are just a handful. There are literally hundreds of little things like this happening every day that are slowing your employees down. Now, I'll bet you've been working on a lot of these, and many of the ones that I just listed, you may have fixed them already, right? And you're saying, wow, that's pretty good. We have fixed them. But I promise you, there are another potentially 100 things like this going on every day that are slowing your employees down and wasting time. And on average, for average company, if an employee can save 42 minutes a week for a 50-man firm, it will save them $250,000 a year. That's what potential bottlenecks are costing you. And that's just 40 minutes a week. It may be much more than that. Your employees may actually be losing an hour or 2 hours a week in lost time due to all of these bottlenecks, things that slow them down, the obstacles, the hurdles. Now, when you think about this, hundreds of them, how do you possibly fix all those? Where do you start? It just feels overwhelming. And if you do have silos, that is totally compounding the problem, because now you're not just addressing it at one location or with one group of people. It's affecting many, many groups of people across your organization. So what do? The problem is, and I bet this has happened to you, is that some of the answers already exist in your company, but everyone is too busy to implement them. And there's a lot of reasons that like that. But what I have found is when people are too busy to do something, it's because it's not a priority to them. In fact, they're so busy they can't focus on any of the non-billable projects that exist that are extremely critical. If you go back and look at your strategic goals and your strategic plan for the year, many of them rely on these non-billable initiatives that need to get done, but everyone's too busy. I want you to think about, what are your square wheels? What are the square wheels that your company is rolling on right now that need to be replaced with round ones? And, you know, that is what I'm committed to helping clients do every day. Because if you don't fix the square wheels, you're literally throwing dollars out the window. You're throwing away time that can never be recaptured. So the final lost dollars methodology actually looks at people, processes, and systems. What we're looking for is that perfect mix of people, process, and systems, that alignment between those that's going to get your employees to their top performance, that's going to really help your employees perform at their best. And I want you to think about this. You could have the best processes in the world and the best systems in the world, but if your people are not aligned with those, if they don't understand the processes of the systems or even know they exist, they are going to be extremely unproductive. If you have the best processes in the world and your people are following them, but there's no systems to help them automate those processes, then your people are going to do everything manually. And if you have the best system in the world, maybe you have Deltek or BST or Clearview or Jira or Microsoft, doesn't matter which one you have. If you have the best system in the world and you even have the people who understand those systems, but you don't have any really well documented, detailed processes and guidelines for your people to follow, then your people are going to be inconsistent. They're going to do things their own way. Now, most people think that they should buy a system. Many of you have probably done this in your firms. So many of your leaders have probably done this. You've bought a system, then you've put some processes in place, possibly, maybe not, and then you've organized a training program and train your people how to use your system. That doesn't work, I hate to tell you. And the reason, we're going to get into the reasons. I think when we go through all this in a little bit, you're going to understand why that hasn't worked for you and why your people won't follow your processes or use your systems. You have to start with the people. Your people are by far, actually, that circle on the Venn diagram, your people should be giant and your processes and systems should be a bit smaller, because your people are the core. Without your people, you have nothing. And when you don't have the people aligned with your processes and systems, they're not going to work. So first thing you do is you work on your people. Now I'm going to show you, we're actually going to work backwards now. And I think when we finish this, you're going to see why you have to work on the people first. Then you put processes in place and then you automate them with your systems. But we're going to work a little backwards right now. And I think when we get back to the people, you're going to see why we've done it this way. We're going to start with processes. First, your processes are critical to your employees' success. Now I'm going to tell you right now, if they're not documented in writing, they do not exist. They absolutely do not exist. I have found with the work that I've been doing, both big and small firms lack documented processes. Every size firm, every type of firm lacks documented processes. You may have some policies in an HR manual. Those usually are not a process. They don't tell somebody how to do something. We are actually, I have something very exciting that I'm working on right now. We're working on a solution for that, so stay tuned. In the fall, we're going to be launching some cool new tools that are going to make it much easier to develop, manage, and train your employees how to use processes without starting from scratch. When we've worked with our clients over the last 4 years to help them develop new processes, they get so frustrated because they feel like, well, you know, doesn't every company have a timesheet process? Doesn't every company do project management? Doesn't every company have a go, no go, or a timesheet approvals, or client retention plans? You have all those amazing processes that would be lovely to have them all documented. But the reason people don't get started working on that is because it's hard. It's hard to start from scratch and reinvent the wheel. So we have a new tool that we're bringing out in the fall to help with that. Can't tell you too much more about it right now, so stay tuned. And you will be hearing more about it. It's not going to be too long before it's ready for public. So really, what is an effective business process? Again, this is my quote. An effective business process is the best way to do something. That's it. It's just the best way to do something. It should make your employees' work easier and ensure safety, quality, reduce errors, and it should help you produce the desired outcomes that you want for your projects, for your clients. That's all it is. Now, if you think about a best way to do something, there aren't 10 best ways to do something. There's one best way to do something. That's why if you have silos and every office in your company does it differently, then they're all not doing it the best way. And so the key is to teach somebody that there is only one best way to do something. And later on, we're going to show you the effective methodology to get your employees not only to embrace the best way to do something, but actually to help you develop the best way to do something. It's very, very exciting. So just want to kind of touch on a few problems that you might be seeing with your employees. First of all, your employees rush through critical non-billable tasks. They rush through their timesheets. They rush through their timesheet approvals. They rush through their billing edits. They rush through managing their projects. They rush through creating scopes and estimates. They rush through proposals. They rush through everything. Now, all of these non-billable tasks and initiatives, these things are critical to ensuring that the project will be successful. The project will not be successful with all these things happening. But because they're so busy and they don't really view these things as highly important, they rush through them. And so they don't do a great job doing those types of things. And then on top of that, everybody thinks their way is the best way. They're not necessarily doing things the best way possible. They think they're better. They think, oh, well, I have a better way of doing that. The way my company does it is not the best way. Then there also may be processes that you've put in place, to ways of doing things that are the best way, but your employees either ignore them, or in some cases, we actually have a business management assessment survey where we survey employees about what's working and what's not working for them on the job. And it's amazing. So many of them tell us in the survey that they don't even have these processes. They don't even know they exist. And if an employee doesn't know something exists, how can they follow it? And then fourth typical issue that we see is that companies have processes. They may be documented. They may have even done training for employees, but there's no enforcement. There's no accountability behind having the processes. And if you don't have accountability, employees are going to take the easy way out, and they're not going to follow the processes, especially if they don't understand how important they are. And so all of these typical issues that exist in your company need to be overcome in order to deal with your typical problems that you're going to see around why your employees are not following your processes. So systems. Now we're going to talk about your systems. Regardless of what system you use, most firms I run across have good systems. 99% of you have invested in a system and you have a good system. If you're maybe a smaller firm and you're using QuickBooks or something, maybe you don't have a good system and you need to get one. That's a good place to start. But most of you in the client size that we work with have a good system. But many of you are not using the systems. You're not using them. They have hundreds of features that would save your employees time, but you're not using them. And then also your employees may not be using them. You may have put things in place for your employees to use, but they're not using them. So you have these systems, but you're not getting the value out of them that you want. And believe me, I had 25 years of implementing both Win2 software and then Deltek Vision. And for 25 years, I saw the same patterns in many, many, many firms that they set up their system and kept using it the same way for 10 years and never really kept adapting to the new technology, the better ways of doing things. And there are hundreds of new things that you can take advantage of in your system that maybe you're not using enough. Now, all a system is, systems are tools. Doesn't matter what system you use, but the idea of the tool is to automate a process so that it reduces the time and effort to accomplish whatever job your employees are doing, and to help them reduce redundant manual tasks, eliminate paper, and eliminate errors. I am a big hater of paper. I hate paper. Even things like cutting checks don't necessarily need to be done anymore, but there are newer and better ways of doing things using your systems. The other purpose of a system is to provide fast access to information. Your employees waste a lot of time every day looking for data, looking for information. How are my projects doing? What is the client's address? Where are our project and qualifications and resumes for this proposal? Your leadership and executives may be looking for detailed information about projects and clients, and they can't get the data the way they want it. And that is slowing people down. So what they do is they dump the data that's already in your wonderful system into a spreadsheet and spend hours and hours and hours manipulating the data just to get it to look the way they want or do a new calculation. And 90% of those things that are in your spreadsheets can be automated in your system. Believe me, that can happen, and that can save you so much time. So typical problems I see with systems. First of all, if your employees do not use your systems every day, they are not going to have proficiency. Over and over the years, I heard people say, well, we hate the resource planning module in Deltek because our project managers won't ever use it. They don't like it. Well, I'll tell you something. If somebody doesn't use something every day, then they're not going to be good at it. And if they're not good at it, they're not going to use it, and they're going to find a workaround to go do it another way. So that's the first thing. Second of all, most firms, again, are not using most of the capabilities of the system. There very often are much better tools inside your software that you could be using to make your employees' jobs easier. And third, there's usually very low accountability, and you're letting your employees use the spreadsheets. I used to do this thing, and you can do this right now. Go around your office and do a spreadsheet audit. Go find all those spreadsheets. What are they using them for? Why are they using them? Where's the data coming from? And how many hours a month are they wasting on those spreadsheets? Things that potentially you could be doing inside your existing system that you have. So now we're going to dive into people. By far, people are the most important thing. And let me just say, okay, take a deep breath. I just had to take a deep breath after talking about all these process and system things. Take a deep breath. So let me just say, you have some of these process issues, I promise you. You have some of these systems issues. The thing is, you have really smart people. You have super smart employees. Actually, your employees are so smart that they have learned to overcome all of these process and system deficiencies somehow. I mean, most of you are still making a profit, right? You're still delivering good projects. You're still functioning. So it's not like those processes and systems issues are destroying your business. What they're doing is they're frustrating your employees. They're slowing your employees down. And your employees, in some cases, will get to a point where they're saying to themselves, this is ridiculous. I don't enjoy my job anymore. So believe me, your people are by far the most important aspect of all of this, because the only reason you have processes and systems is to ensure the success of your employees. So let's really dive into employees, because if you can help your employees, I promise you, your employees will help you back. They will make you more money. They will help you solve all of these process and system issues. And everyone is going to be much happier and happier, and they're going to want to stay working at your company. So the other two areas, I wrote my own quotes for you. I could not come up with a better quote than what Steve Jobs said about people. Steve Jobs said, a small team of A+ players can run circles around a giant team of B and C players. I want you to think about your teams. You have A players, you have B players, and you have C players. Which ones do you want? Would you rather have one A player than 5 C players or 10 C players? Probably. One A player is way more productive. And so what we're going to be talking about today is transforming your people. Now, you're not going to be able to transform every single person into an A player. There may be some players on your team that they shouldn't be there. And that's a whole nother discussion. But the players who are on your team, who have the capability of being more productive and operating much, much more effectively on your projects, that's who we're talking about today. And I'm going to hopefully give you lots of ideas about how to transform your employees and how we do it. How we do it every day with our clients. And give you even a few examples of some things that our clients have done. So what are the typical problems that we see with people? First of all, your employees do not understand the why behind anything you ask them to do. In fact, most of them don't see the why behind the timesheet. Timesheet is probably one of the most important things that you ask your employees to do every day, but they don't understand why it's important. Your employees actually think your timesheets are a compliance tool. It's Big Brother wanting to know what I'm doing. They don't understand how critical it is for your billing, for your payroll, for your job costing, for your job reporting, your employee performance evaluation, utilization reporting, everything, your overhead calculations. Your timesheets are the most critical factor to everything you do in your company, yet your employees don't put a lot of attention into their timesheets. That's one example. I could give you dozens and dozens of examples of other things that your employees don't understand the why. They don't understand the whole connection in your company, from your timesheet to their paycheck and all the things in between, the whole project life cycle. They don't understand it. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that you do have these silos, and those silos are encouraging autonomy. In fact, I hear clients talk about, we want to make sure our employees have autonomy. Autonomy is great as long as there's a best way to have autonomy, right? So you don't want to take away their creative thinking and the creative aspects of their projects. There's definitely a best way to do something. And if that autonomy is not the best way to do it, then you're not going to get the results you want. And then across the board, in doing our business management assessment, thousands of employees have taken our business management assessment across so many organizations, so many A&E firms tell us they need more training. They need training about giving them business acumen. They need training about how to use systems. They need training for sales. They need training for leadership. They need training on soft skills. Employees need training. And most firms spend a very small amount of money on training and don't allocate the resources they need to really develop their people to be the best they can be. So as a result, you end up with B and C players that are not performing at the top level that you want them to. And so these are kind of at a high level, this very typical issues that we see. So what does it take for an employee to be highly productive? You look in the middle. See, I think of employees as a puzzle, right? And every employee is a little bit different. They have their own puzzle pieces. They have their own shapes. They're all a little bit different. Putting the employee pieces together is not always the same, but there are some pieces that are always the same. And you need to have these pieces in place for an employee to be highly productive. So the first one to be highly productive is intelligence. I'm sorry, I can't fix that for you. That's the one thing in the puzzle I can't fix. I can address the other three perfectly, but I cannot fix intelligence. So number one is intelligence. You know what? That's probably the least of your problems for most of your employees. Most of them are intelligent. They would have had to be to get through school, just to get through 4 years or 5 years of architecture engineering degree. They must be intelligent, right? But the other three things, in many cases, you need to help them with these things. They need skills. So they need business acumen skills. They need technical skills. Many of you focus on technical skills, but don't focus on business acumen. Without business acumen, they are like a technical being operating inside an environment that they don't understand, right? Because you're in a business, you have a business that requires things to happen a certain way in order for that business to thrive and be profitable. But your employee gets out of college and they come into that business, but they have these blinders on because all they think about are the projects that they work on, and they don't realize that there's a way to do things in a business to make it successful. And in fact, they don't think it's their responsibility at all to think about the business. They just think about how to deliver their projects effectively with technical expertise, high quality, and keeping clients happy. And they don't realize that what they're doing impacts the business every day. So they need business acumen in order to be a highly productive and successful employee. They also need the right mindset and attitude. And the right mindset and attitude is going to give them the motivation to want to follow the processes and use the systems, right? So think about an example outside of your business is trying to lose weight. Let's say you want to lose 20 pounds, right? So you can get the skills and you can say, okay, I understand the skills behind dieting or working out, right? So those are the skills you can gain. But just because you know those skills doesn't mean you're going to lose the weight. And then you have to be motivated, right? You have to have the mindset and attitude. You have to say, this is something I really want. It's a top priority. I understand why it's so important to my health and my success of my life to lose the 20 pounds. So I'm going to do this, right? So the motivation and attitude, they need to have that. Then the last piece are the daily habits and behaviors. Now, a lot of what drives your employees every day in what they do is their behavior, right? And a lot of their behavior is caused by daily habits that are just programmed into them over time. So they're just kind of operating on autopilot. And unless they have the skills and knowledge and then the mindset and the attitude, then they need to learn how to change their behavior and habits. And unless you give them all three of those things, they are not going to be highly productive people. It's not going to happen. Now, very often you may send your people away to a boot camp for 2 days and think, okay, I have this project manager and I want them to manage projects. So I'm going to send them away to a boot camp and they're going to come back and they're going to be a better employee and they're going to be a better project manager. But guess what? Studies show it takes 66 days to change a habit. So that's why sending them to a boot camp or doing a 2-day in-house training doesn't work. It may give them the knowledge and skills, but it's not changing their mindset, their attitude, or their behavior and habits. And so that's why some of the things possibly that you've been trying to implement over many years just might work for a month, and then they go right back to doing what they're doing before, because it takes 66 days and sometimes even a little bit longer to change a habit. And that's why when we developed our Find the Lost Dollars training program, we roll it out over 10 weeks, which is 70 days. And that's why it's the perfect amount of time to change the mindset and behavior of your people. And you have to change both their mindset, which is the desire to change, and the behavior, which is the habits. Knowing to do something differently, like entering their timesheet every day and submitting it on time, that is a habit. And you have to be able to get them wanting to do that, so they have the knowledge, then the attitude, they want to do it, and knowing why it's important, and then you get them through the behavior changes that need to happen. So that is what we focus on in helping our clients massively transform teams of people. And you may say to yourself, oh, change, it's so hard, it's so difficult, but not changing is even worse. What you're living through every day with the frustrations and the employees, the frustrations they're feeling every day, the examples that I gave in the beginning of not being able to find information, not getting proposals done on time, not knowing how to ask for a change order, not getting your billing out quick enough so employees or clients don't pay you. These are all things that are happening now. So change is crucial. In order to change, the first step is to get your employees buy-in. And so what we have done is developed a system and a formula for getting employees to buy in. And what happens when your employees buy in is they actually help you design and build new processes, and then they get excited about using the systems. I have clients that had Deltek resource planning module for 10 years, wanted to use it, tried 3 times before, not able to use it. And it's because the methodology they were using to try to roll it out to their people was not successful. And when we came in and changed the mindset and then worked on the behavior and the attitude of their people, then their people helped them come up with a strategy and a plan to build their project management processes and use their systems effectively. And all of a sudden, they're using those modules successfully. Recently, working with a client, Amber, at QK in California, and she has been struggling with this problem for years, and recently, in the last 3 months, has gotten resource planning up and running, and now they're scheduling all their jobs out. She's reviewing them weekly with all of their managers, and it's already made a huge difference on their project profitability. It's just unbelievable, their utilization. So does it really seem impossible to you? It really isn't impossible. It really isn't. There are 3 things you need to tackle and that we focus on in our program that are the secrets behind getting your employees to do this, to want to do this. First of all, they need to know why it's important. Most of your employees don't even know why profit is important. Believe it or not. I know that sounds crazy, but they really don't even understand why profit is important. Next, they need to know, how will this affect me? Is this going to make my life harder? So you have to be able to communicate to them how this is going to make their life easier. And then they need to know, is this really the best way to do something? Because what they're thinking in the back of their mind is, oh yeah, they've rolled out these things before, but it didn't work because it wasn't the best way. But the secret is, it's better if it's their idea. So we're going to show you how to make it their idea. So we actually have a 3-step process. Our Find the Lost Dollars program is driven around this 3-step process. It's designed to help you transform people so you can have higher profits and happier employees. So first of all, we assess what's going on in your firm in 9 areas of your business. Second of all, we educate your employees to give them the business acumen that they need to deliver profitable projects and make sure your clients and projects are successful. And then third, we help your firm develop new processes and improve your systems. And our new tool that we're coming out with in the fall will help you do that much faster and much easier. So first of all, the business management assessment. In less than a week, you can roll this out to your employees and get a detailed report examining 9 areas of your business and looking at where employees are struggling and where processes and systems are not supporting them. And if you have groups or teams of people, we can even slice and dice the data that way as well. Gives your leadership team tremendous amount of data and insights about where your employees are struggling, which processes are working or not working. And it's actually a great tool to have if you're about to go into a strategic planning session, because then you have real hard data to look at to understand what's working and not working, where to focus your attention. And then we have our finalist Lost Dollars business management training program. We have 10 courses rolled out over 10 weeks, 1 hour a week they do online, 1 hour a week of group discussions. And that is really the magic behind our program. Doing it over 10 weeks, doing it in groups, having the discussions, and having this content that provides the why. It challenges them with exercises and games and goal setting to really think about the problems that are going on, come up with better ideas. In these group discussions, your employees are going to come up with dozens of ideas that are going to make your processes work better and your systems more effective. And because those ideas are their ideas, they're going to actually help you implement them afterwards. And I have successfully implemented this dozens and dozens and dozens of times in A&E firms, and every single time we have seen transformation in not only the employees, but in the operations of the business. In fact, we have client awards that we give our clients awards every year, and year after year, we see our clients actually recognizing 4% or more increase in profit in less than a year from rolling this training program out to groups of employees. And with the 10-week course, you can do 4 or 5 groups of people a year or more, depending on how you implement it. And from a cost effectiveness basis, we find for every $1,000 investment you make in your people, you're able to see a $10,000 or more increase return on investment in sometimes just 10 to 12 weeks. And we have a methodology that we roll it out to ensure that that happens, and you can track those numbers and you can measure them and see where the lost dollars are being found instantly by your employees. And sometimes we make it a competition. It's actually a really fun thing that we do. And then we help you develop new processes and systems. And actually, there are actually hundreds of processes that your employees are following right now. You look at your project life cycle, from onboarding a new employee, from finding new leads, pursuing opportunities, developing scopes and estimates, and developing proposals, implementing and negotiating and signing contracts, kickoff meetings, go, no-go processes, timesheets, timesheet approvals, expense reports, budgeting. Your employees are already doing all of these things, but whether they're doing them well or not, you may not know that. That's why we do the business management assessment as a first step to figure out what's going on. Then we find that the training is the missing component to help the employees give you all the feedback and come up with the great ideas. And then we dig in and start working one by one on the processes. And if you can get 4 or more processes re-engineered in a year and documented for your employees, I promise you, your firm is going to be humming along. It's going to increase the value of your company. It's going to give your employees the guidelines they need to ensure they're doing things the best way. And it's going to help you reduce those silos and bring everyone together into one company. So everybody is doing things the best way possible. And again, this process tool we're working on is going to just transform the industry, I believe, overnight by making it really easy for you to start documenting processes and much, much faster and easier. So I'm very excited about that. So just to sum up, got 2 or 3 more slides left. This is all about your people. It's about your culture. It's about your company's future. It's about your profits, retaining your employees, making sure you have a constant flow of new business coming in the door, making sure you have future leaders that can take over from all of the people who are planning to retire in the next few years, ensuring that you're going to have high performance, being recession proof to prepare for the future, and just really working on your culture to make sure that you have positive accountability. You don't want to come down on your people and get angry at them or enforce policies. You want your people positively holding themselves accountable because they understand why and what they do every day is so important. And they know what to do, how to do it the best way possible. That's what we want to get to, the perfect world. And I know the perfect world doesn't exist. You know that. But getting as close to it as possible, that is the constant struggle that we all have. And if you can have tools to make it easier for you, if we can help you get this done much, much, much faster than what you're able to do it now and save your firm what could be, I don't know, $5,000 to $20,000 a week you might be leaking in profits, then the faster you get on this and the faster we can help you accelerate your progress, then you're going to be so much more successful. And you're going to find hundreds of thousands of lost dollars. And we do this every day with clients. It's been very, very successful for us. We have so many clients that have just accelerated their results. Kleinschmidt, for example, is a finalist in our client awards. They increased their win rate 400% in 2 years. They had a 16% win rate and went to a 64% win rate in 2 years by following our Find the Lost Dollars formulas and putting their employees through our program. And it was phenomenal to see what they were able to do. Hillman increased their profit 16% in 2 years. We have many, many examples of this happening over and over again. We have some wonderful, great clients. They have transformed their companies. And that's what we want to help you do. So if you have any interest in learning more about how to do it, if you are interested in starting right away on transforming your company, Leanne will send you some information this afternoon with slides and recording of this to help you get all of your leadership team on board. But respond to our email. Just say, hey, we'd like to have a call, get our leadership team on a call. And especially if you don't have a leadership team that is in consensus, one thing that we're really good at is getting people together and getting them to understand how much it's really costing and helping move forward. That's something I work on every day. And we can answer any questions you have about our assessment, our training program, and just see if it's right for you. If you know that you're not ready though, if you're just not sure, if you're ready or not, you want to test the waters out. Maybe you'd like to work with us a little bit and see what we do and learn more about our secret sauce. Consider coming to our profitability summit that we're having in September. It's September 11th and 12th in Tysons Corner, Virginia. It's just down the road from where I live. It's close to 2 major airports. If you want to just see what it's like to work with us for a day, we promise you that spending a day with us at this summit, it'll transform the way that you think. It'll transform your ability to see the possibilities of what your company can be. We're going to help you prepare for the future, disrupt the current ways you're doing things. We want to get rid of all those old school way of doing things. We're going to show you some really innovative things that many firms are doing. We have a leader panel where some of our best clients are going to show you how they have increased profit in just a year or less. And they're going to tell you the specific things that they've done with their employees and in their businesses to do that. And I'm excited to work with you. It's not a large group of people. You might have 50, 60 people in a room. You're going to get to meet everyone. You're going to get to see hundreds of examples of things that successful companies are doing now and things that are going to help you prepare for the future, prepare for a future recession that we might be having next year, who knows. And this is a great way to just spend one day Get away from your office, get away from all of this frustration, and really look at how you can make a huge impact on your company. And I promise you, at a minimum, you're going to find at least $100,000 at our summit. And we actually have a tool we use to measure how much money you find at our summit. But last year we found over $12 million at our summit. I think we had, I don't know, 70 people in the room, and we found $12 million in lost dollars. Those people that were there left with everything they needed to immediately go back and make a huge impact on their firm. So if you have any questions about the summit, don't hesitate to reach out. We have a special discount code. Leanne will send that to you this afternoon. It'll only be good until Friday. It's going to allow you to get the early bird price. The early bird price expired a couple weeks ago, but we're going to enable you to get the early bird price for a few more days if you want to consider coming to our summit. And we actually have another special price. It's if you're going to bring more than one person, we have a special for you there, and we're happy to tell you about that. So don't hesitate to reach out. And if you do have any questions, I don't see any questions now in the Q&A box, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to, again, jump on a call with you real quick, 5-10 minutes, answer any questions you have, see if it's right for you. So thank you so much for joining us today. And we don't have any questions, so I'm going to sign off right on time. And I'm very excited to work with all of you. And if I can help you, make an extra $250,000 in the next 90, 180 days, I would love to help you do that. And that's exactly what I specialize in. And it can happen, I promise you. It's not as hard as it sounds. It's actually quite easy when you focus very intently on it and you have the right tools. So thank you so much for joining us. And I really look forward to working with you. Thanks so much.